Hello. I feel like this is a pretty well-known thing at this point. However, I've never personally seen anybody talk about it unless it was on a YouTube short with Tumblr over it, and they had an AI voice reading out what they were saying on Tumblr over Minecraft parkour gameplay. So I wanted to talk about it because this is kind of a cool thing to me, and I don't know, I did an English project on it, so I might as well talk about it again, because why not? In September, a year or two, I guess, after the turn of the millennia, the United States was under attack. On September 11th, 2001, two planes flew into both the North and the South Towers of the World Trade Center, plummeting the U.S. economy and putting many small businesses under, as well as ending the lives of hundreds of civilians. This is, of course, a terrible event, and I don't want to get into anything political about it. All I want to do is talk about post-hardcore music. One man, on his way to work, was riding a ferry on the Hudson River, where he witnessed from the dock the 9/11 attacks and the collapse of the World Trade Center, in which he described the experience of witnessing this horrible tragedy as a wave of human anguish. That man was Gerard Way. This is one of the main reasons that he is listed to him creating the band My Chemical Romance on September 12, 2001, in which he was able to let out his grief and trauma through music. He wrote the song Skylines and Turnstiles about the terrorism attacks that he had witnessed. They wrote many songs, and eventually their first full album, which was released on July 23, 2002, titled I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. Now, I could talk about MCR for so long, but it's not what I'm going to do right now. I just want to point out some of their specific things. One of their songs on this album is called Honey, This Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us, which is about gay vampires. But it's baller. Go listen to it. Now, this song served as large inspiration for this young woman named Stephanie Meyer. And if you recognize that name, you're either jumping in joy or crying in agony. This song served as inspiration for her book, Twilight, as well as another song from that album, Vampires Will Never Hurt You. Twilight released in 2005 on October 5th. Starring the characters Bella and Edward, I think. I don't know, I haven't read Twilight, nor have I watched any of the movies. I solely looked into it for my English project last year, which was about this, and haven't looked into it since, not even for this video. But it was a huge, cultural phenomenon and a huge hit with teenage girls. However, it had a slow start. In 2006, it sold 1,600 copies, which, to an up-and-coming writer, quite a lot. But in 2007, it sold 27,000 copies. And in 2008, it sold 335,000 copies, and only exponentially grew from there. Now, being such a hit, some people were inevitably going to replicate or build off of it. One of these people was Hollywood, because of course it got a movie after it. And another one of those people's name was Erica Mitchell. Erica, or her pen name, E.L. James, read this book called Twilight and was inspired to write a fan fiction, and she was not the only one. Good lord, I'm scared. But yes, E.L. James wrote herself a little fan fiction which couldn't go off, but eventually devolved, yes, devolved, did not evolve, into a small little known book called 50 Shades of Grey. Yep. Anyway, if you're wondering how we got from terrorism to borderline porn this fast, I was going to say couldn't tell you, but I literally can. But yes, I'm sure you're aware of what 50 Shades is, and now you know it's from a book made for teenage girls about vampires. Anyway, the 50 Shades of Grey book was released in 2011. Why did I say it like that? On June 20th, with a lot of themes, but it blew up because smut is a lucrative business, selling 29 million physical copies and 15 million digital copies by the end of 2012. Like I said, smut is a lucrative business, and of course E.L. James can't be the only one to benefit off of this, because why would she? This of course leads us to Hollywood. Again, they made a movie in 2015, released February 13th, which made $569.7 million in box office. Smut is a lucrative industry, and it scares me. Anyway, this movie had actors in it, one of which was named Dakota Johnson, who acted as the female lead, and I have not seen this movie, don't want to watch this movie, but yeah, and it apparently performed very well making $569.7 million in box office. That's just theater sales. But, as I'm sure you're aware, whenever their movie performs good, actors often go on to talk shows so that they can talk to people about their movie. Dakota went on to The Ellen Show as their choice of talk show to talk about the movie together and have their little talk, like they do on talk shows. That's why they're called talk shows. While they were talking, Ellen decided to ask Dakota why they weren't invited to their birthday party. Which, is she like 8? I thought she was like 50-something. Apparently, she was invited to her birthday party, so she lied about something on camera. This is the very first stepping stone in a very long controversy. People decided they were going to look into where she was on that fateful day, which was apparently a football game where she was seated with the former president, George W. Bush. Alright. Who was anti-LGBTQ, and depending on who you talk to, connected the start of the story, but I'm not getting into that. I am not your uncle. This sparked stories to start swirling that she wasn't actually nice in person. Now let's take a short little walk to 2020, where I would like to talk to you about a specific thing that happened. The Ellen Show was shut down in 2020 due to, the big thing that happened, except it wasn't, because it started recording episodes from her home with an ununionized team, and her previous team was getting paid less than they should have been and less than they were even promised, which made everything break down eventually in July of 2020 when BuzzFeed wrote an article I spelled article wrong. When BuzzFeed wrote an article speaking to 10 former Ellen employees who then spoke out against her. One of her ex-employees even said, and I quote, "That be kind bullshit happens when the cameras are on. It's all for show," end quote. Amidst all of the other 9 people claiming racism, intimidation, and if nothing else, a toxic workplace for employees of Ellen for years, she issued an apology the same day, saying things got out of hand and she relied on other people to do her job for her. I didn't see the apology, but I really hope it didn't go something like this. I have made a severe lapse in my judgment. It was not my fault that it was a toxic workplace. It was the fault of everybody who was involved. Thank you. Like YouTuber apologies that are laughably bad. Though it didn't really matter, because the very next day, BuzzFeed published another article, which I did spell right this time. How did I mess it up that one time? Where they had talked to about a dozen ex-employees about the producers sexually harassing them. And geez, I don't want to talk about this, but essentially these claims led to more people talking about the executive producer's sexual harassment, and all this snowballed into the downfall of the Ellen Show, and in turn, her career. This is pretty much the end of this story, that there's one more thing. Okay, so let's take a look back at Twilight. Yeah, Twilight. Remember how I said they made a movie about it? So the character Edward, his character was cast to Robert Pattinson, who, after being in Twilight, was asked by a bunch of other movie producers and people making movies to act more along that character again, and be in more dramas and romances along the same vein as Twilight, and he reportedly got sick of it, which led to him branching out into other genres of movies and TV, which eventually led to him in 2020 becoming Batman. That's right, Batman. He became really cool. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I just wanted to say that. So, in conclusion, go listen to My Chemical Romance. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge is a great album. Track 12, Cemetery Drive, is a banger. Go listen to it. Oh, also, back along the lines of My Chemical Romance songs in Twilight, the song Famous Last Words from their 3rd studio album, The Black Parade, is the inspiration for the other male character in Twilight. What was his name? James? It started with a J, I think. But yeah, that's a good song, and apparently that was another inspiration for Twilight. But yeah, I don't know how to end this. I'm Batman. Bye.